All righty. Dyson boys back after another fun-filled weekend. Let me get the camera. There we go. I was a little bit off camera. I'm Jay.
I'm Bobby.
That is my baby brother. It is September 17th. Yesterday was Daddy's birthday.
Yeah.
And him and Uncle Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Daddy would have been 91.
91.
And Uncle Dan would have been 93.
Yep.
Yep. They were both born on the same day, 2 years apart. So, I want to talk about Brett Kavanaugh. You got something that you want to talk about this morning also. We'll let you go first, and then we'll hit on old Brett. Let me get my glasses.
Well, this is coming out of Commie California.
Now, you know your nephews would take exception to that.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, nephew, but you live in a cracked up state.
Yeah, my boys live in California.
You live in a cracked up state. Anyway, California, they always prided themselves that we don't follow trends, we set them.
We set them, yeah.
Well, here's a trend.
We got a new trend coming out of California. All right.
Civil rights lawsuit. You can find this in the Conservative Daily Post. The author is Austin Lewis. Civil rights lawsuit claims leftist climate policy harms poor minorities. Okay,
now how does that happen?
Now, before all you say, that sounds ridiculous. Remember, we're talking about lefties in California. Mm-hmm. So, they got the market corner on ridiculous out there.
Yeah, they do.
California, I'm just going to read a little bit of this. California has long led the United States as one of the top bastions of leftist or progressive ideology and lawmaking. Mm-hmm. For decades, the state has been almost entirely controlled by Democrats, mm-hmm. and those even further to the left. The legislation they passed to do things like protect the environment or fix racial bias issues showed this ideology. Now, you got this guy whose name is John Gamboa. He represents this group called the 200. It's a coalition of civil rights leaders in the state, and he's a co-founder of that group. And so they're claiming that California's policies of environment, especially according, the lawsuit was filed against something they call CARB, is a violation of Fair Employment Housing Act, as well as the California Global Warming and Solutions Act and California Clean Air Act.
CARB is the program that they have out there that I know vehicle emissions and inspections fall up under CARB. Every time you register your car, if it's a certain age, you got to go get it checked. And boy, they always find something wrong that you have to replace before you can get your car registered. California Air Resources Board is what it stands for.
Well, they're filing a lawsuit against these people, claiming that they're affecting poor minorities adversely. The lawsuit claimed that the organization pushing climate change regulations and legislations of the state and its leaders decide to intentionally increase traffic congestion in the state. They're saying that the policies of California, this CARB thing, is to make driving a car almost, unviable.
Too expensive.
Yeah, it's too expensive to own a car. So they're trying to force people into using public transportation. And these guys are saying, wait, what about the poor people who can barely afford a car? You're making it, you're pricing the entry level. You're pricing that out. You're taking all those jobs that left the state. Mm-hmm. You forced all those mm-hmm. manufacturers to say entry level jobs, mm-hmm. where you come in, and you work your way up from maybe your first job as a kid might be in fast foods or whatever. Mm-hmm. But, then you get later on in your, after school, high school, you might get a job in manufacturing mm-hmm. or something, a blue collar job, and you work your way in the middle class. They're claiming that the lefties out in California, they're comrading out in California, lefty people just like them. Now, these people all push for the same agenda, but now they're claiming that these policies are adversely affecting minorities, poor minorities, to
Yeah.
keep them from moving, pricing out the job market, pricing out the housing market,
Okay, let me give you an example. Sacramento. They have a rail system out in Sacramento. It runs from Roosevelt Road all the way over to South Sacramento. Okay, it runs through downtown. Okay. Now, if you don't live along that line, let's say you live out in Orangevale, California, okay, which is one of the outlying communities there in Sacramento. It is northeast of Sacramento. So let's say you live in Orangevale. Now, I have to drive or take the bus over to Roosevelt Road to catch the train. Okay. Now, when they first started, it was pristine. Now, guess what? Okay, you have the homeless riding these trains. The people getting what do they call it when the homeless are out pedaling?
Right. Yeah.
Now you got to put up with all of that. It's not as clean as it used to be. So, but I work. Now I can catch the rail, but I work over in the Stockton, Alhambra area. Well, guess where the train doesn't go?
Yeah.
It doesn't go over into the Stockton, Alhambra area, but that's where I work. Okay. So now I got to get off and catch a bus over to the Stockton, Alhambra area.
Right.
Okay. So what they're doing here, it's already expensive anyway.
Yeah.
The California Air Resources Board runs or controls the emissions and things like that. When you go to register your car, Bobby, you have to go, they call it a smog test is what they call it.
Right, yeah.
You have to go get a smog test. If you fail that smog test, then you have to go to a California Air Resources Board certified facility to get your car repaired. You talk about expensive, okay? If you have to have something replaced or changed, let's say a catalytic converter, okay? That's not cheap.
No.
It's not cheap. So it's already expensive in the first place. You can't register your car until you get whatever that needs to be fixed, and then back over for another smog check to make sure everything is cool. Now you can go register your car. The registration is expensive out in California already anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway. So what they're doing here is, you're making it harder on people that already have a hard time.
Right.
Getting their cars registered because of the emissions standards they have out there in California. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. And the lawsuit is complaining not only about that, but it's complaining about the housing. You're passing laws to make a housing, building brand new housing almost impossible. What are some of the stipulations they have on the building of housing? I'm thinking about some things, but do they address that? He doesn't go into any details.
Okay.
He just said the cost restrictions on home building make the state's already expensive housing even more costly.
I bet it has something to do with this because they're pushing solar out there in California. Okay?
He did bring that up.
Yeah.
He said that people can get subsidies for solar and
for your windows
and all that stuff.
All that.
And on your car, if you can afford an electrical car, you get a subsidy on that. And he said, well, what person, in the lower class can afford any of this stuff?
Thank you.
You can't afford that stuff.
So you go out, new home construction, okay? So they have all these energy saving features. I mean, even down to like refrigerators and stoves and in these new houses. In California, they've gone absolutely crazy with this stuff. And now I wonder if they even consider people the migration out of California because it's just too expensive to live out there. I don't know how the boys do it. I remember one time Michael was complaining about, man, it's expensive out here. Hey, we'll come back here. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I'm a California boy. Well, then put up with it.
Yeah, deal with it. You know, but, you know, it's just this idea that the left always claim that they're on top of everything, that they're fair and
make it life for the little guy.
You know, we're going to get the big guy and we're going to make sure the little person has an advantage. Are your policies making that possible for you know the small? It sounds like to me, the more money you got, the more subsidies you want to give the rich people, or you know people that can afford it. So you really nothing that you're doing is balanced towards people in the lower income brackets. You know, and so it's like I'm always saying they want rich people and poor people. They want to be the rich people and they want everybody else poor. They don't want a middle class.
But they always do it under the guise of, hey, our policies are there to help those that are living in poverty. Folks that live in Del Paso Heights, California are having a hard time out there in California because that is your poor area of Sacramento.
Yeah.
That's the poor area. And people are finding it hard. I know for me, when I was out there, when I first moved out there, it's like, whoa, for registering my car?
Yeah.
It's like, my goodness. So all the streets out here are paved in gold, right? I shouldn't see a pothole to one, right? For the money that you guys are charging just to register the car, and then add insurance in.
Yeah. Okay. And, you know, his main thing is, you know, they don't want you driving the car. The system is set up to make it almost impossible to have a car.
Well, they want everybody that does have a car, they want everybody driving powder blue Priuses.
Yeah. You know.
They don't want you driving, Lexuses and Impalas and Grand Cherokees and Explorers. They want everybody in the powder blue Prius.
And the fact that you're driving, you know, manufacturers out of the state, you know, well, we don't talk about that. You know, that you're taking jobs out of the state, you're running jobs out of the state. We're not going to talk about. We're trying to go for this socialist, you know, where Jerry Brown and his cohorts are living up here and everybody else is down here.
Absolutely.
We'll build affordable housing out, which basically means they're gonna, you know, build you a 10 by 10 and you and your family can live in that. You know,
you have a 1,000 square foot home.
Yeah.
Okay. With how big are your bedrooms going to be in 1,000 square foot home if you want to have 3 bedrooms? You're living
in something that's probably the size of this upstairs.
Yeah.
You know, and that should be good enough. What do you complain about? You don't need all that big house, you know. Meanwhile, Maxine and all the other
living large.
Yeah. You know, living large, and they're these liberal policies. And before he gets into that, I want to get into something else I found quite interesting on free speech. This is in Minnesota, I believe it was, or Wisconsin, if it would come up. Thank you. This one is about a college professor. You can find this on WND.com, and I'm trying to find the guy that wrote the story. I'll get his name before we end the story. But the professor returns after beating university in a free speech fight. What happened was the professor gets reinstated. You know, he's still not at school. He doesn't start until spring.
Was he like on administrative leave?
Yeah, he was on administrative. He wasn't even on. They fired him.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, they just
he must
fired
not have tenure.
He had tenure. They fired him.
Okay.
Because he violated the, you know, he wasn't PC.
Okay.
A student wanted to challenge an assistant teacher because of homosexual marriage. And the student said he didn't agree with her. And she told the student, well, your comments are homophobic, therefore out of bounds.
Of course, yeah.
Because, you made a homophobic comment, PC.
Yeah.
And so there's out of bounds. He challenged that. And he said, if you're going to not hear different opinions in this setting, education becomes indoctrination. And so they fired him. So he takes it to court, and the school was trying to argue that he didn't have the right to take them to court because this was a internal matter.
Okay.
And the judge told him, no, it's not an internal matter, because you had him sign a contract that said he had, liberty to teach as he wanted, and now you're telling him he can't teach. You have people signing these things saying, okay, you have liberty in your classroom to teach however you want and this is a philosophy professor that wanted to knock down the students' objection. This is philosophy, this, where you're supposed to be an open forum for everybody to say what they want.
So the student is the one that had the issue with the professor?
Right.
Okay.
This was a teaching assistant.
A teaching assistant. It wasn't a student.
Right.
It was a teaching assistant.
He had a disagreement with her.
Okay.
I don't believe in that.
Okay.
And she said, well, you're homophobic, so therefore we can't talk about this. And he said, no, that's not right. We're supposed to have an open forum here because it's in our contract.
So let me get this right. This teaching assistant is like the person that's challenging this professor, and they're not. So the teaching assistant said, you're homophobic.
Yeah.
Okay. Because of what you just said. You're homophobic. And so the professor gets fired because he came against her. Because he came against her.
And he said, hey, we're supposed to have an open forum here.
Yeah.
So, a couple of other teachers, left head and then administration, they decide we're going to get rid of this dude.
They're going to side
He takes them to court.
Good for him.
Yeah, and he wins. And this is at Marquette University.
In Northern Michigan?
No, in Marquette is that Wisconsin or Minnesota?
Okay.
Wisconsin. I forget where Marquette's.
But it's in the Big Ten.
Yeah, it's Marquette. No, it's not a Big Ten university.
It's not a Big Ten school, but
yeah,
in a Big Ten state.
Yeah, but the thing was, they were trying to tell him, no, you can't teach as you want, and you can't come against something that we have in college policy.
No open forum there.
Yeah, your policy, and the judge said, you had him sign this contract, and you made a stipulation that he was free, as a tenured professor, to talk about whatever, to have an open forum at all times, not just on the things you don't want him to talk about. If you don't like it, then he can't talk about it. He can't open up to the student. And it's just said that's not right. You violated his contract. Yeah. So therefore, you got to pay him 2 years back pay. You got to pay him whatever benefits he had coming from back then, and you got to reinstate him. So now they're up there scrambling, trying to figure out how they can shut this guy up, but still have him on campus. And it's like, if you don't want them to speak openly in the forum, see, this is something leftists do. They tell you, oh yeah, you can. But then when you do it, oh, that's politically incorrect. Well, politically correctness is not a law.
And you know what they're going to do. Now they're going to circle back and rewrite this contract for any new professors coming in, where it's going to stipulate you can't talk about certain things. They're going to have it worded that way. And anybody that signs that contract, then you're the foolish one.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Because how dare you, university, organization, public school system, politicians, how dare you, people on the left, tell everybody that you can only speak on certain things in a certain way. Forget freedom of speech.
Yeah.
You don't have any freedom of speech if you come and you want to associate with us here in the bubble. If you do speak out, reverse of what we're speaking out on, if you dare do that, if you dare come unpolitically correct, if that's a word, but you know what I mean, then we got something for you.
Yeah.
In the case of this professor, we got the loss of your job coming at you. Forget about the fact that he's tenured. Forget about that. You violated our policy.
Yeah, our policy.
Yeah, our policy.
Our little bubble policy. You know, this isn't, you know, school policy. You know, and like I said, political correctness is not a law. You know, so you can't say he violated any laws by speaking against this child wanted. You know, and it's not that the professor backed the young man's proposition. He was just saying, if we're going to teach, we need to have an open forum. That's what teaching is about. Hearing all sides of the argument. Right. This is what we're doing here.
That's right.
And if you're going to indoctrinate people, then, you know, you need to make that up front.
No more is there anything close to debate.
Yeah.
Especially in colleges and universities that are run by the left. Because of the fact you speak like we tell you to speak. This teaching assistant has been indoctrinated to the point where any opposing views, this person is going to look at it and start, well, in this case, you're homophobic.
Yeah.
Oh, so what is homophobia? Explain to me what homophobia is and how that applies to me. Because I'm saying something that differs from what you say?
Pretty much, yeah. We get to decide what's acceptable and what's not acceptable.
Absolutely.
You do not have a choice in that.
You don't have a say.
You have to listen to what we say.
That's right.
And so it's going to cost them. So, you know, if the guy just takes his money and runs, fine. You know, but the judge said you cannot have them sign a contract saying that these are the terms of the contracts and then violate the terms of the contracts and try to get rid of people because they say things you don't like.
Yeah. And that is just too rampant in our society. Not just here in the United States, but across the globe. Especially for conservatives. You don't have a say.
You don't have a say.
Judge Brett Kavanaugh. You don't have a right to be confirmed to the Supreme Court. Why don't you have a right, Judge Kavanaugh? It's because you sit on the opposite side of us, talking about the Democrats, the liberals. You don't fit our qualifications to be a Supreme Court judge. Why? Because you believe in the Constitution.
Yeah.
You're a constitutionalist. We don't want a constitutionalist on the Supreme Court, Judge Kavanaugh. You're this, that, and the other, all these other things. And now you're a sexual deviant.
Yep.
Judge Kavanaugh. Isn't it amazing? When the Democrats, when the liberals can't take a guy out, they always play the sexual harassment, sexual misconduct card. Why do they play that? Because they've always been successful with it. Because you destroy people with that. They're doing the same thing to Kavanaugh as they did to Herman Cain. As they tried to do to Clarence Thomas. You find some obscure person from his past. He tried to rape me. We were at a party, a high school party, and he was falling down drunk. My first question is, was alcohol being served at that party? If so, somebody was serving alcohol to underage people. We should have an issue right there. Falling down drunk. So the guy was so sloppy drunk that he still had enough wherewithal to throw you on a bed and pin you down. A drunk dude he's pretty easy to handle.
Yeah.
If he's drunk.
Especially a sloppy drunk.
And he's sloppy drunk? Come on, guys. Why do you folks on the left, always stoop to such lowness? What did Michelle Obama say? When they go high, or when they go low, we go high. Mm-hmm. You guys are always going low.
Always going low.
There's nothing about a high road with you guys at all. You're down in the swamps. You're down. Remember when we were coming up and we used to hear our mom and dad talk about people that lived in the bottom?
In the bottom.
And what was the bottom? Yeah. Man, that was the lowest you could go as far as living conditions.
Not living the river itself.
You living in the woods, out in the swamp, everything.
Living in the floodplain.
Yeah, you living in the floodplain. Every time it rains, your place floods out. Yeah. Living in the bottom. That's where you Democrats live. You live in the bottom. There's nothing. There's no integrity with you guys. Yep. There's no character with you guys. Your credibility has been shot for a long time because of doing stuff just like this. How nasty and despicable are you? What needs to happen is what Sean Hannity did with that lady that tried to accuse him of sexual harassment. What did he do? He started a civil lawsuit against her. Guess what she did? Oh, I'm going to go back over here in this dark corner that I came out of, and you'll never hear from me again. Bring a lawsuit. Bring a lawsuit. A civil lawsuit against her, Feinstein, and anybody else you can get your hands on from that lying, despicable Democrat Party. But they do this each and every time. When something does not work for them, here they come. Yeah. Now, why is it? Ask yourself this question. Why is it when it's a conservative that in the end he's a liar, he's a drunk, and he's a sexual deviant? Why is that? They do this all the time. Here again, like I said last week, hey, you senators, you Republican senators on that judiciary, don't get weak in the knees. When this thing comes out of committee and it goes to the floor, all of you senators that don't have that D behind your name need to confirm him into the Supreme Court so we can watch the left's heads explode. Just simply explode. Now, if Kavanaugh doesn't want to bring a civil suit, his wife can. Bring one against everybody that has anything to do with this thing about he tried to rape me. First it was, hey, him and his friend locked her in a room. Now it's rape.
Yeah, and it morphed to rape once that didn't work. You know, it morphed from that. Then it was like, well, he tried to assault me, and then when that didn't float. Then he tried to rape me. Mm-hmm. He was trying to rip my clothes off.
Mm-hmm. Trying to rip my clothes, threw me on the bed, and pinned me down.
And some other guy rescued her, from him. I'm not like, okay. And the problem I have is, what the story is, what were you doing in the bedroom?
How'd you get there?
Was the party in the bedroom?
Did he knock you over the head with something and drag you in there?
Grab you by the hair in the party, full of everybody. A Neanderthal you right into that bedroom and tossed you on the bed. That's how that happened.
Plus this. Ask yourself this. Did she ever say anything to anyone about this? That's a traumatic event, or you would think it would be a traumatic event.
Yeah.
That you think something like that would mess you up for a little bit, right? People can see, hey, something's bothering. Girl, what's wrong? Well, what happened? You mean to tell me you never said anything to anyone all this time? You never reconciled within yourself that you needed to come out and say something about this, you wait until Brett Kavanaugh, who the majority of Americans never heard of until he got nominated. You mean to tell me that now all of a sudden, since he's been nominated and it looks like he's going to be confirmed, here you come at the urging of Dianne Feinstein and others?
She wants
set up.
They want to make it sound like she just, was sitting and saw him coming and that he was going to get nominated, and she was just like, oh my gosh, I can't let this happen. I got to do my civic duty. Yeah. Okay, now you're going to find out another story about Brett Kavanaugh's mom and her parents. That's all I'm going to say about that, because the story hasn't fleshed out yet. But we're going to find out some things about this that are not kosher. Okay? And like I say, I tell anybody, okay, well, let's go through all the preliminaries. Let's get everything out in the open. Let's, talk about, they're talking about bringing her before the judiciary committee and letting her express herself and then letting him express himself.
Bring her.
Now, he's got hundreds of people, saying, that this guy is straight up. He's undergone 6 FBI investigations into his background.
And nobody found this until Dianne Feinstein?
And nobody heard about this. This stuff never surfaced, And when the FBI digs into your background,
they dig.
They get the microscope on.
They dig. Because they dug into mine when I got my clearance when I was in the military.
They break out the electron microscope.
Yes, they do.
Deep at you.
Put the Hubble telescope on you, boy.
So it's not like this couldn't have come up. Nobody mentioned this. This did not come up, this incident. And, what incident in high school didn't get around all of high school?
Yeah.
You could chip a nail in high school and everybody knew about it by lunchtime.
So if you're at a party and something like this happened, some folks at the party is going to get wind of it.
Yeah.
And they're going to be talking about it. Hey, man. They're going to get back to school on Mondays like, dude, did you hear what Brett did?
Teenagers can't keep a secret, because I know when I was a teenager, nobody kept a secret.
Especially on something like that.
If you were going with one girl in the morning, if you was seen talking to another girl in second hour study hall, by lunchtime you were her going.
You were toast.
That was all around the school.
Here's what they've done. They went back and they got Brett Kavanaugh's yearbook. They looked through the yearbook. Mm-hmm. Pictures. She'll do. She'll do.
From what I'm hearing, and like this is, I'm not confirming it, but from what I'm hearing, there's a history here between his family and her.
And her family.
Yeah.
Oh, so we may have the Hatfields and the McCoys here.
Yeah. This might be shaking out to be a Hatfield and a McCoy.
Yeah, we may have the Hatfields and McCoys.
So,
okay.
Remember when Uncle Thomas told you when you went before a certain judge and
oh yeah, don't mention my name. Don't say the name Burrell. You say the name Burrell and she figures out that you're related to the Burrells, you're toast, because there's been a feud between her family and the Burrell family. And she's a judge now. You're toast.
for 60 years, almost 70 years. So now. You're going to go before her and mention Yonder? Don't let her know.
No. My uncle said, psst, psst, man, don't mention you're related to the Burrells. And then he gave me the history. I was like, oh, okay, man. Thanks for hooking me up.
This is almost a 70-year-old feud.
Yeah. So we might have a Hatfield and McCoys. Okay, gotcha.
So we're going to let this play out and we're going to see exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
And we might come to the conclusion that somebody's trying to get a little, dig in on the man while they can.
Yeah. What did I tell you yesterday when we were talking about this? We were out and about. And one of the things I said was, bring her before the committee.
Yeah.
Let's put a mic in front of her.
Put a mic in front of her.
Let everybody ask her questions.
And see, the thing was, the allegation was going to be enough.
Yeah.
to hold up, and they can rant. No, we need to investigate this. Then when Grasser said, hey, the FBI threw the letter out and said it wasn't worth investigating because they didn't look into this guy hard. So then, that's not evidence we need to concern. So that gets tossed out. So then here we get to, well, if that's not going to work, well, let's kick it up a notch.
Let's up the game a little bit.
Let's kick it up a notch. Well, he tried to sexually assault me. Exactly how did he try to sexually assault you, locking you in a room? How did you get sexual assault out of that? Well, it was at a party. Oh, now we morph to a party. Again, in a minute we're going to have you on a pole, right?
Yeah.
I mean, well, what are we going to do? He's stuffing dollar bills into your thong while you on a pole. Where are we going to go next? Because it's more from locking you in a room in high school and you got out, somehow you magically got out, the Svengali or whatever. You got out of the room. Now it morphs to a party. Wait a minute. Why wasn't it why didn't you put the party in there first?
Bring the whole thing.
If that were a traumatic event in your life,
I'm telling you,
you're going to talk about that first. You're not going to talk about, well, he locked me in a room in high school. What? Now all of a sudden you're at a party, he blind, stinking drunk.
Right.
And somehow, you and the blind, stinking drunk managed to get into a bedroom.
End up in the bedroom.
I guess I've had many conversations with drunks, and sometimes they think they're making sense when they're talking. But somehow you end up in the bedroom and he tosses you on the bed and tries to take your clothes off.
Hey, baby, come on, let's go off here to the bedroom.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, really.
How did it go from locking you in a closet, and I've locked my sisters in closets, I tied one of my girlfriend's little sister to a tree because she was getting on my nerves. And so I tied her to a tree. Now, hang on there and shut up. But what I'm saying is, how did it go from the high school to a party?
Because
wouldn't you have brought the party up before the high school locked in a room?
Yeah, because that's the timeline, isn't it? It's like he locked me in a room at high school. So okay. So
what did he do first?
Okay, got it. He locked you in a room and then he told you he'd let you out if you went to this party that's coming up Friday night, and I'm gonna be blind, stinking drunk when you get there, and I'm gonna haul you off to the bedroom and try to rape you. But I'm not going to let you out of this room until you agree to all that.
Yeah, I mean, how that doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah. Well, she needs to be listened to. Yeah, y'all say that because you're on the news and you are all for this fair crap, and you looking at her like, the first thing I'm saying is, okay, which did he do first? Did he try to rape you at the party first and then lock you in the room at school? If somebody throw a rock at me one day, and we get into a rock fight, all right? And he throw a rock at me. Now, the next time we meet, and he starts shooting at me. Which one am I going to talk about first?
Yeah, I'm going to talk. Hey, dude shot at me.
I'm going to go, well, we was in a rock fight, Oh, yeah, well, he did shoot at me once.
Oh, did I forget to mention that he shot at me?
I mean, which one are you going to talk about first? Getting shot at or having a rock thrown?
The most traumatic one.
Yeah. Okay. So now I'm supposed to believe you based on this contrived nonsense. Who thinks like that? Who comes to
Democrats.
Who comes to those conclusions like that?
Democrats.
What rational? I mean, Democrat or Republican, are you a woman, somebody try to rape you?
And then, like I said, all this supposedly happened, 35 years ago?
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, you're saying something to someone about it. You didn't say, over the last 35 years, you didn't say anything to anyone. You kept all this to yourself. All this to yourself. Okay, again, and we're going to end it right here. Bring her before the judiciary.
Yeah, bring her on.
Bring her on.
Because I want somebody to ask that question.
Yeah.
Which one was it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which did he do? Or did he do both? Which one was it?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'll give it a smash. Give us a like. Just click on that thumbs up icon that you see there below the video. Leave us a comment also. Appreciate that. Subscribe to our channel. Click on that red button you see down there that says subscribe, and then make sure you ring that bell out to the right side. That's the notification bell. Be notified anytime we put videos up. But again, some important stuff going on in our life. Okay? And, the professor story, that's typical stuff. Happens every day.
Yeah.
What we see with Brett Kavanaugh, this is what the Dems do all the time. Nothing different. It was just a matter of time when they were going to find some lady out there to exploit for their own purposes. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for coming aboard. Have a great Monday. And we're out.